In this video, I'll be breaking down some clips in Portuguese of Anderson Silva. First, let's hear him talk about how he got into martial arts.
E minha tia me colocou num projeto da escola que tinha capoeira.
First, he says, minha tia me colocou num projeto da escola que tinha capoeira. My aunt put me in an after-school program that had capoeira.
E minha tia me colocou num projeto da escola que tinha capoeira.
Minha tia me colocou, my aunt put me.
E minha tia me colocou
Colocou, from the verb colocar, to put. Num projeto da escola, in an after-school program,
num projeto da escola
que tinha capoeira, that had capoeira.
que tinha capoeira.
Tinha being the imperfect tense of the verb ter, to have, just like tenía in Spanish. Now let's see what he says about the influence Bruce Lee had on him.
E sempre muito fã de Bruce Lee.
Assistia os filmes do Bruce Lee e tudo
Assistia
mais.
todos, eu assistia todos os filmes.
He goes, sempre muito fã de Bruce Lee, always a big fan of Bruce Lee.
E sempre muito fã de Bruce Lee.
Then the interviewer asks him, assistiu os filmes de Bruce Lee? You watch Bruce Lee movies?
Assistia os filmes do Bruce Lee.
And then Anderson says, assistia todos os filmes. I'd watch all of them. I'd watch all of the movies.
Assistia todos, eu assistia todos os filmes.
Assistia is the imperfect tense of the verb assistir, to watch. So for verbs that end in ir like assistir, the way you form the imperfect in the first person singular is by replacing the ir ending with an ia. In the next clip, he talks about his first time experiencing Muay Thai.
Pô, cara, essa parada de Muay Thai é legal, né?
He thought to himself, pô, cara, dang, man.
Pô, cara,
Essa parada de Muay Thai é legal, né? This Muay Thai thing is pretty cool.
essa parada de Muay Thai é legal, né?
So this por at the beginning here is a euphemism for porra, which is used like the F word in English. And then parada is slang for thing. So essa parada de Muay Thai is kind of like saying this Muay Thai thing.
Pô, cara, essa parada de Muay Thai é legal, né?
In this next clip, the interviewer asks him about him as a kid.
Eu quero saber do moleque Anderson se tu era um cara brigão
Era muito, cara.
de sair na mão na rua.
Tinha dia sim,
Ou
tinha
nem
dia
tinha-
sim.
ou-
He says to him, eu quero saber do moleque Anderson. I want to know about Anderson, the kid.
Eu quero saber do moleque Anderson.
Moleque means kid, and it's a word that comes from the African language Kimbundu, due to the influence of Angolan slaves in Brazil. So he says, eu quero saber do moleque Anderson. I want to know about Anderson, the kid.
Eu quero saber do moleque Anderson.
Se tu era cara brigão. If you were a guy who got into a lot of fights.
Se tu era um cara brigão.
So a lot of dictionaries will translate brigão as quarrelsome. But in everyday English, you'd probably just say someone who's always getting into fights. You'll notice that he says tu here instead of você. In regions in Brazil where tu is used, it's typically used with the third person singular, which is why he says tu era instead of tu eras, which would be the standard textbook conjugation and how it's used in Portugal.
Se tu era um cara brigão.
Then Anderson says, era muito cara.
Era muito, cara.
If you were to translate this word for word, it would be era, I was, muito, very, and cara, man. But a more natural sounding translation here, I think would be something like, oh yeah, as in, did you get into a lot of fights as a kid? Oh yeah.
Era muito, cara.
And then the interviewer Rafinha goes, de sair na mão na rua? As in throwing down on the streets?
De sair na mão na rua.
So, sair na mão is an expression that I covered in my Jose Aldo video. Literally, it means to leave in the hand, but it basically means to throw down or to scrap in the sense of fighting.
De sair na mão na rua.
And then Anderson goes, tinha dia sim, tinha dia sim.
Tinha dia sim,
Ou
tinha
nem
dia
tinha-
sim.
Now, this is a play on the expression dia sim, dia não, which means every other day. Literally, day yes, day no. So by giving it this unexpected twist and saying dia sim, he's basically saying that he would get into fights every single day. Tinha dia sim, Tinha dia sim.
Tinha dia sim,
Ou
tinha
nem
dia
tinha-
sim.
In this last clip, he responds to a question about whether there was a moment in his life where he realized he was good at what he did.
Eu tinha que fazer bem feito. Ou eu não tinha uma outra opção. Eu tinha que fazer bem feito, cara. Eu não tinha opção. Tava com 19 anos, com filho, eu não tinha opção.
He says, Eu tinha que fazer bem feito. I had to do it well, as in, I had to do my job well.
Eu tinha que fazer bem feito.
So the expression fazer bem feito literally means to do well done. But it's used to express this idea of doing something really well, to do a great job, or in Anderson's case, perform at a high level in his fights.
Eu tinha que fazer bem feito.
Eu não tinha uma outra opção. I had no other option. I had no other choice. Or more literally, I didn't have another option.
Ou eu não tinha uma outra opção.
Then he says, tava com 19 anos, com filho.
Tava com 19 anos, com filho.
I was 19 with a kid. So the way most textbooks would teach you to say this is with the verb ter, to have. Tinha 19 anos. Literally, I had 19 years old. But in the real world, you'll very often see it with the verb estar followed by com. Estava or tava com 19 anos. Literally, I was with 19 years old.
Tava com 19 anos, com filho, eu não tinha opção.
Then lastly, he says, eu tinha que fazer muito bem feito. I had to do a really good job.
Eu tinha que fazer muito bem feito.
Porque eu tinha que sustentar meus filhos, irmão. Because I had to provide for my kids, bro.
Porque eu tinha que sustentar meus filhos.
If you enjoyed this video, remember to like and check out my video with UFC legends next. Obrigado, tchau.